Hello folks, Alex here. This is Alex Unabridged, and today I'd like to share my reading plans for Shorty September. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, another event. This time it's Shorty September. Yes, I couldn't resist this one, even though I'm coming off the back of quite a manic Garb August. This one caught my eye when the announcement video went out, and I thought, no, I've got to do something for this. So a little introduction to the event, if you don't know what Shorty September is, because it was new to me too. It's in its third year, apparently. And it is the brainchild of Bert and Sian at Storytime, along with Heather over at Soggy Expat Book Nerd. And it is all about, as the name would suggest, reading shorter books. And short can be whatever you want it to be, basically. If you're the sort of person who reads, massive chonkers regularly, then short to you might be, 400 or 500 pages or less. Or if you're like me and you read generally on average kind of, sort of 300-ish page books, 300 to 400, then, you might want to go down to sort of 150. It can be basically whatever you want it to be. I personally am going for super short this time, which I will get to in a bit. But I will link to Bert and Sian's announcement video and also Heather's video over at Soggy Expat Book Nerd, so you can get all of the relevant information from them. They also have links to some graphics and bits and pieces that you can use for tracking your reading. There are prompts. There's an Instagram template for the prompts, etc. for the event. There is also this, I love this idea, there is a zine that Heather has designed, which you can print out on your home printer, and it gives you all the details of the prompts and place to log what you've read for those prompts. I probably won't manage to fill all the prompts. I'm not gonna go for the prompts on this, but I couldn't not mention the zine, because any event with a zine has got to be fabulous. So yes, the zine, the links in the announcement videos will send you to the PDF for this. And there's also a challenge on Storygraph as well that I think Heather's come up with, which I assume is the same sort of, kind of prompts and stuff like that, if you're on Storygraph. So they've got loads of resources, so do go check their videos out. They're great. So my plan then for Shorty September is to try out some authors that I've wanted to read for ages, authors that I've been intrigued by, authors that I keep hearing a lot of stuff about, but I'm not sure whether it's my kind of thing or not. Authors that I might not want to try a full-length novel of, that I just want to find out whether I like their voice, where I can get on with their style. Certainly authors that I have got stuff of theirs in my wish list, which has been in there for ages, but for whatever reason I haven't kind of got to that yet. And some authors that I've read before, maybe read one book before, maybe not really got on with it, but kind of feel like I need to give their style, their voice another chance. So this is kind of just an exploration for me of some authors. And certainly when it comes to the stuff that, the people that I have some stuff in my wish list, or in my library, for instance, stuff that I actually own of theirs that I've had for ages, I'm hoping that maybe if I read something by them this month that's short, that really might grab me, then it might help give me some focus on what I pick out of my my general wish lists and my library, my ever-increasing library of like ebooks and audiobooks and all that kind of stuff. So it might help me actually kind of might push me towards reading certain things, which can be a good thing in some ways. I do like to mood read, but I do find myself just kind of getting lost in, the the amount of stuff that's out there. It can be I can end up with choice paralysis sometimes. So this might help give me some sort of focus on maybe some of the authors to pick to read next. So I have come up with a list of possibilities, quite a long list, but I've popped them into a wheel online, a wheel to be spun so that I can get a random choice when I want a shorty. So I will pop that wheel up on screen. So yeah, I just kind of fancied finding a way to make it a little bit of a surprise about what I was going to read next. Usually I'm a mood reader and I kind of pick what I want, but I thought, seeing as these are all really short and I kind of, want to get through as many as possible, then I will pop them into the wheel and have a bit of a random month in terms of choices, what I read when I read it. So what's in the wheel then? Well, first of all, everything on here is basically should only take me about 3 hours or less, and in the most part, an hour-ish. There are a few longer pieces on there, as I say, about 3 hours, but the majority of stuff is an hour or thereabouts, or even half an hour in some cases, so that I can basically read it or listen to it in the morning when I'm having breakfast, or at lunchtime, or when I go to bed, or when I'm washing up or cooking or what have you. So yeah, I can kind of fit them in when I've got a few free minutes basically. So I've got a few bits that I've got kind of kicking around the house to start with, and then we'll get into where the bulk of the reading is coming from. So first of all, I'm going to take a couple of short stories from this collection that I bought a little while ago. So in here I've got I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream by Harlan Ellison. I've wanted to read this for ages. It's only 16 pages long, although I think it potentially could be quite challenging in terms of its content and themes. All that I know about it is that it's set in the future, when a sentient AI, an AI that has managed to gain self-awareness, has destroyed the world essentially, virtually. It's kept 5 people alive, made them virtually immortal, so that they can't kill themselves, and it tortures them. So it sounds like a lovely, happy little piece, doesn't it? But it's 16 pages. I think it should be all right. But yeah, I've been fascinated by the concept of this for a while, the premise of it, since I first heard about it. So that has gone into the wheel. The other one out of here, which I know absolutely nothing about, is Time Considered as a Helix of Semi-Precious Stones by Samuel R. Delaney. As I say, I have absolutely no idea what this is about, but I really want to try some of Delaney's writing. So those are the first couple. Then I've got this one that I bought back in May, which was a random purchase. And this is The Terrors of the Night by Thomas Nash. And this is demonic horrors and spirits dreamt up by the most exuberant, inventive prose writer of Elizabethan England, apparently. And this is very, very thin. It's 54 pages, so I should be able to get through that probably just over an hour, I would think, as long as the language isn't too tricky for me with it being Elizabethan. But I've had a little look through and it should be fine. So that's the second one. And then another one is one that I was or at least the author was recommended to me by one of my subscribers when I did my Sci-Fi September TBR. One of my subscribers said, "Oh, you might want to try Adrian Tchaikovsky." That they really like Tchaikovsky's work, and funnily enough, I did have a Tchaikovsky on my long list for Sci-Fi September, but I didn't own it. It was quite a long one. It was Children of Time, and so I bumped it for future reading. But my subscriber said that there were some shorter works, so I had a little look around, and as it happens, one of the novellas, Walking to Aldebaran, is part of the Audible Plus catalogue, and it's only about 3.5 hours. And I do tend to listen to stuff on Audible at a higher speed than just the the standard speed. I usually speed it up to sort of 1.25, something like that. So that should bring it down a little bit to around about 3 hours. But it sounded really interesting, so I thought, yes, that can go on the wheel. And this is about a guy who's wanted to be an astronaut forever, has worked really hard to get to be an astronaut, gets lucky to go on a mission to explore this strange alien rock with a team of international scientists. But disaster strikes, and the team is split up. He survives, but he's stuck in these kind of endless cold tunnels, I assume, on the alien rock. And a bit of the blurb just says, now I'm lost and alone and scared, and there's something horrible in here. And I thought, yes, sold. So that is also on the wheel. So those are the bits I've kind of, got from the bookshelves and, Audible subscription, stuff like that. Okay, the bulk of what's in the wheel is coming from one place, and that is the Amazon Original Story Collections. So the Amazon Original Story Collections, if you're not aware of them, are, they are short collections of usually about 6 books within a theme. So it might be horror, it might be sci-fi, it might be thriller, etc., historical fiction, things like that. And they are all predominantly written by very well-known authors. They are usually anywhere between sort of 25-30 minutes up to around about the 3-hour mark. And the times are the estimated times are published with the stories because they come with an Audible narration as well. They are all a part of Kindle Unlimited, both I think here and in the US. But you can buy the individual stories if you're not a member of Kindle Unlimited and you just fancy one of them. You can buy them separately for I think a couple of quid, couple of dollars, something like that. And so I've read a few of these before. I've read some of the horror collection, in fact all of the horror collection of Dark Corners, and I've read a few other bits and pieces. And I like them. It was a really nice chance for me to kind of get a taste of some of those authors' work. But it's a long time since I've read those. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go back to these collections and I'm going to, really go for the authors that I've been constantly attracted to, but haven't got around to reading yet for whatever reason. And so I've been through the collections and I've selected the ones that I want to put into the wheel. So I will whiz through these quite quickly now. I'm not going to go into details about what each story is about, because we'll be here forever. But I will just whiz through the authors and what the collections themselves tend to be about, because then you can get an idea of the themes of some of the stories that I'll be reading. So first up, some more sci-fi for my Sci-Fi September, and that's with the Far Reaches collection, which is all about kind of looking outwards beyond the stars, kind of exploration of the galaxy and, the horizons of humanity's potential, things like that. And in here, I've selected 4 of these stories. The first one is How It Unfolds by James S.A. Corey. Corey is writer of the Expanse series, which is one that I keep hearing really good things about. And one of those that when I read about, read the premise and stuff, it does intrigue me. But, it's a series and I don't necessarily kind of do so well with kind of keeping engaged with series, certainly longer series. So I want to kind of test out Corey's style really, and see how I get on with it. So that's the first one. The next one is Void by Veronica Roth. Roth being the author of the Divergent series. Again, another series. I have seen the first film of the Divergent series, which I didn't really like, I have to say, but I'm pretty sure that was the film that I didn't like rather than the kind of the world, the concept, etc. So I do want to try some of Veronica Roth's writing. Next one is The Long Game by Anne Leckie. And Lecky's one that I hear really good things about, but again, just not sure if it's going to be my cup of tea. She wrote, I know there's a series, but the first one is Ancillary Justice, and I hear cracking things about that. So yeah, we'll give Anne Leckie a go. And the final one for me in that collection is Slow Time Between the Stars by John Scalzi. And Scalzi, I think, has written quite a lot, but the one that has intrigued me in the past is Red Shirts. So yes, another one to test out. Okay, then I've got one of the stories from the Into Shadow collection, and the Into Shadow collection is kind of the authors are creating characters who venture into kind of depths where others fear to tread. The blurb says, it's kind of, I think, about the dark side, characters' dark sides. Yeah, the one that I've picked from this is Persephone by Lev Grossman. Grossman being the author of the Magicians series, which is one that has intrigued me in the past, that I've heard very mixed reports about. And this story, I think, is a coming-of-age story. Okay, the next one is one out of A Point in Time, which is all kind of about, the authors are all examining sort of foundations of the past, irreversible decisions, life-changing encounters, that kind of thing. And the one from this that I've picked is Alisons Conviction by Thomas Keneally. I have only had Keneally on my kind of possibles list of authors, if you like, since very recently, and that's because my dad has really kind of fallen in love with his work. My dad is basically reading the entire back catalogue of Keneally's work at the moment, and so I'm always interested in what my dad's reading and why. So rather than dip into a full-length novel of Keneally's to start with, of course, he wrote Schindler's List, The Playmaker, lots and lots of others. He's got quite a long bibliography. I thought I would just give a very short story a go first. Okay, the next collection is Trespass, and I've got quite a few out of here because this sounds right up my street. This says, when nature gets up close and personal, it isn't always pretty. And these are meant to be unsettling stories that range sort of from horror to sort of magic realism, and they're all about kind of hidden secrets of the land and the wild and stuff like that. So out of here, I've got The Tiger Came to the Mountains by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I've got quite a few books on my sort of wish list by Moreno Garcia. Mexican Gothic, The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, and Silver Nitrate, which is Moreno Garcia's most recent release, which I really like the look of. But I'm not sure how I get on with the style, so I haven't picked them up yet. So yeah, it's perfect chance to just get a taste of her writing. Next up is Wildlife by Jeff Vandermeer. Jeff Vandermeer, of course, is the author of the Southern Reach trilogy, and I do have Annihilation on my wish list. But everything I've seen of Jeff Vandermeer's, in terms of the premise of things, the description of things, I'm always very intrigued by. So I can't not put another bit of Jeff on the list. It's short stuff. I might as well throw it in. Next up is The Backbone of the World by Stephen Graham Jones. Jones is the author of The Only Good Indians, which I do have. I picked up in a 2-for-1 sale on Audible a while ago, but haven't listened to it yet. And also My Heart is a Chainsaw, which is another one that I've had on my list for ages, but for whatever reason haven't gone to it. And this one mentions something about Lovecraftian horrors, which intrigued me. Okay, and the last one in this collection is Stag by Karen Russell. Karen Russell being the author of Swamplandia, which is, again, another one that has intrigued me in the past. And the description for this story, actually, it mentions something about a guy at a party who crosses paths with a tortoise that leads him on some sort of a journey. So I kind of thought that sounded a bit bonkers. And so, yes, I thought I'd give that one a go. Okay, then I've got one out of the Black Stars collection. These are cosmic short stories from some influential black authors. And the one I've picked is We Travel the Spaceways by Victor Laval. I first came across Laval when I saw something about the Changeling, which really intrigued me. But then I've seen a lot of videos, a lot of reviews, things like that for things like Lone Women, which also sounds really interesting, and The Ballad of Black Tom. I've only ever read Laval's comic graphic novel work in terms of Destroyer, which I did like. So it would be nice to just see what Laval's voice is like in writing fiction. Then I have also got one from the Faraway collection, which is kind of, modern twists on classic fables. And this is The Cleaners by Ken Liu. Ken Liu is an American author, I think of fantasy predominantly. I know he wrote The Dandelion Dynasty, which is an epic fantasy series, I think. But for me, the interest here is because I know Liu is the translator for The Three Body Problem, and so it would be interesting to see what his own writing is like versus his translated writing. I do have The Three Body Problem waiting to be read in my library. Okay, then a couple from at the Out of Line collection, which is all about kind of what happens when women step out of line and control their own stories. So I've got Graceful Burdens by Roxane Gay. I only know of Roxane Gay through her non-fiction writing with Bad Feminist. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what she's got in terms of fiction stuff. And the other one that I've got is Halfway to Free by Emma Donoghue. Donoghue wrote Room, of course, and that's one that it's not kind of on my wish list, but it's one that people keep saying to me, you really need to read this. My sister keeps on at me to read it. So I thought I would have a little look at some of Emma Donoghue's writing and see whether I like her style, her voice, etc. Then I've got one from the Hush collection, which is kind of about the nature of truth, risks in uncovering lies, things like that. Sort of psychological crime and thriller and all that kind of stuff, I think. And the one that I've got is Snowflakes by Ruth Ware. And Ware I'm just interested in because I hear very, very mixed reports. She's the writer of It Girl and The Woman in Cabin 10. And yeah, I think, I've seen such polarised, sort of opinions on Ware's stuff that I'm just very intrigued to kind of just, read something short by her and sort of maybe think about whether I want to try one of her longer pieces, her longer books. Then we are back to the sci-fi with quite a few bits from the Forward collection, which is, kind of near future stuff, essentially, I guess. Some of these will be sort of darkly comic to sort of deeply chilling stuff. So there's a kind of a real mix of stuff, I think, in here. And there's some authors in here that I really want to read. So the first one is Summer Frost by Blake Crouch, who also incidentally curated this particular collection. I do have Dark Matter on my TBR for September, so this will be some extra Blake Crouch. This one's about a video game developer who becomes obsessed with a willful character in their new project. And, anything that's to do with video games, I will read. Okay, then I've got Emergency Skin by N.K. Jemisin. Jemisin is a name that I keep seeing and keep hearing such good things about that I think I ought to just, give her stuff a chance. She's the writer of the Great Cities series, which I think the first book in that series is The City We Became, and also the Broken Earth series. And this particular short story was the winner of the 2020 Hugo Award for Best Novelette. So then I've got The Last Conversation by Paul Tremblay. Tremblay I have read before. I've read A Head Full of Ghosts, or at least I should say I've listened to A Head Full of Ghosts on audiobook, and I didn't get on with it at all. But I do think that that is because of the narration and not the writing. So hopefully this little short story of potentially around about an hour and a half reading time might help me confirm or deny whether it was the narration or the writing on A Head Full of Ghosts that I didn't like. Then finally, in this collection, I've got Randomise by Andy Weir. And I have read some Andy Weir before. I've read Project Hail Mary before, and I loved it. So this is just another chance for me to get a bit more of an Andy Weir fix, because I very much appreciate his sense of humour, his playfulness and his writing. And this does sound very good. This sounds like it's about... in the near future, if Vegas games were ingeniously scam-proof, then the heists would have to be too. So a bit of a futuristic casino heist story. That should be, with some sharp wit, I will imagine. Then, yeah, a bit more anti-weird can never hurt, really. Then I've got a couple from the Disorder collection, which is a collection of sort of twisted short stories imagining the horrors of a modern world not unlike our own. And I have got Ungirls by Lauren Bukes. Bukes being the author of The Shining Girls, which is one that intrigues me, which I think has been, yes, it's been made into a TV series or a film perhaps. Which I think is on Apple TV. I haven't watched it because I don't have Apple TV, but I know it's got Elizabeth Moss in it, and that's how I found out about The Shining Girls being a book. I saw about the TV series first, so I thought, yeah, I'm interested in seeing what Lauren Bukes has got. And then the other one is called Anonymous. I'm not going to try and pronounce the author's name because I will absolutely butcher it. But they wrote Beasts of No Nation. And I've heard very good things about that book particularly. So those are the ones that I have got in the wheel. So there's plenty in there, quite a bit of different stuff, different genres, and lots of authors that it would just be very nice to get a taste of what their voice might be like. So that's everything I've got in the wheel then. But there are 6 others that I will be adding in towards the end of September, because there's a new collection coming out on the 26th of September, and that is called Creature Feature. How can I not add that in? The description for the collection says, gather round as today's most diabolically clever authors twist simple moments into otherworldly horrors. An empty baby stroller, a scratching underneath the bed, a farmhouse in the moonlight. With an unnerving sense of the macabre, these stories transform our greatest fears into bone-chilling realities. And there are stories by Joe Hill, Grady Hendrix, Josh Malaman, Paul Tremblay again, Jason Mott and Chandler Baker. And I want to read stuff from all of those people. So yes, I will be adding those in on the 26th of September. And that will bring the total on the wheel up to 31. So I'm not going to get through all of these. I would be highly doubt that I will get through all of those. But if I can maybe even get through 2/3 of them, that would be good. So those are my reading plans then for Shorty September. I will, of course, be keeping you updated with what the wheel is kicking out for me when I want a shorty to read. I will be posting that probably on the community tab or in a short. Why not use the shorts for Shorty September? That seems appropriate, doesn't it? But that is it from me today, folks. Do let me know in the comments if you're going to be doing Shorty September and what your plans might be. How short are you going with your short reading? Thanks very much for watching today, folks. I will be back very soon with more bookish ramblings, of course. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving me a like and subscribing for more content coming soon. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.